I just want to say before this video begins, this video was made back in like September or October of 22, so it's not really recent, but I still wanted to post it because I had the opportunity to use a BrailleSense in tech class for a couple weeks, and at the end of my observation, I did a little BrailleSense review video. So without further ado, here is that video. Hello everyone, this is Zach, and today I'm going to be doing a little audio presentation or recording of the BrailleSense 6 Mini. So the BrailleSense 6 Mini came out, I believe, in 2021, and it's like the Braille Note. This is a device that's running Android 10, and today I'm just going to be showing you guys some of the shortcut keys, I'll start with a physical description. So this thing, if you've ever felt a Braille Note, it's a rectangle and has a top with a bunch of keys, is what it looks like. On the bottom, you have your display where the Braille comes in. Then above that, you have your cursor routing keys. And then to the side of the display on the unit, not the actual side, but where the display is, you have your panning buttons. Then above your cursor routing buttons, you have your 6-dot Braille keyboard with a backspace and enter, a space bar. You have basically your previous and next items buttons beside your space bar. So the previous item is to the left of the space bar, the next item is to the right of the space bar. And there's also, I believe there's like a digital screen that's showing. And to the left of your display, you have your volume buttons, or not your display, now we're going through the actual sides themselves. On the left side, you have your volume buttons and your headphone and microphone jack. Then the top side has nothing. The right side has USB-C port, which charges the unit, and another port that I'm not exactly sure what it does. And then we get to the bottom side below the display on the actual side, and there's a lot of buttons here. So let's start with the left part. On the left, you have two switches. The first one locks your keys, so you can have talk panel locked, all keys locked, or unlocked. Then your second switch basically controls which mode you're in. So I think it's in app mode right now, but if I switch it to the left, oh no, that's app mode. This is media mode, daisy mode, and app mode. And then you have your media buttons. There's 5 buttons. I believe the left one might be play or previous. I'm not exactly sure. But these 5 buttons, they control like your media player basically. And then on the very right is your power button, which turns it off and back on. Now let's explore some of the shortcut keys. Oh, and before I do that, let me just say, this device also has where your previous button is, to the left of the spacebar. If you go even farther, it has your F1 and F2 keys. And then to the right of the next element button is your F3 and F4 keys. So let's explore some of the shortcuts. So if I just press space with CH, that tells me my battery percentage, and T space also tells you the time. And then there's a bunch of other ones that, you know, can turn off Wi-Fi and on Wi-Fi, I believe. Yeah, so backspace with dots backspace with dots 1, 4, 5, 6 turns off the wireless LAN or Wi-Fi, and then if you do it again, it connects, which it should. Oh, that's not supposed to. Why is it? It's like not connected. When you know Wi-Fi's on, it will make a sound, but it's not doing it right now. It's weird. So F1 is basically your home key. F2 by itself, I don't think it does anything. F3 is kind of hard to explain, because if you're in like an app, F3 basically is like your sidebar key, so it like takes you through all the options in the app. It's kind of hard to explain. And F4 is your back button. F1 and 4 is your recent apps. F2 and 3, I believe, is not exactly sure. I don't think any of them do anything. None of them do anything except for F1 and 4, which would take me to the recent apps, but because there's nothing there, it doesn't work. So to close an app, when you're in that menu, space with D. To close all of them, it's enter space D. So it just adds a key there. Now let's explore some of the advanced shortcuts with the backspace and function keys. So backspace F1 turns down your voice volume. Backspace with F3 does the same thing. Oh, no, it doesn't. Okay, yes, okay. But backspace with F4. Backspace with F2 turns your speech off and on. Now, the Braille mode, as when I click the wrong button, backspace with F3. That's if you just wanted the speech. So if you didn't want like your Braille to be on displaying things, which I don't even know why you would have that off anyway, you can do that. But I'm going to turn it back on because there's no point of keeping it off. Okay. So, now let's do some space action. Starting with F1. turns down your voice rate. F4 space does the same thing, just increases it. Now that beep you heard is when it's normal. It's letting you know that it's normal voice rate. It does that with the volume as well. Now space F2. Oh, space F3. And that doesn't really do anything either. Oh, no. No, it doesn't. Okay. Now let's do enter. Enter F1. Turns down your voice pitch. F4 turns it up with enter, of course. F2 changes your keyboard echo. So if you want that on with words, keyboard echo off. Keyboard echo on with characters and words. F3 changes your punctuation. So enter F3 changes your punctuation. And yeah, it changes punctuation modes. Now this is the fun part because F1 plus the panning keys also do things. So if you do F1 pan down on the left, it changes it to 8-dot braille mode. So it's like computer braille basically. 6-dot mode? Oh. Yeah, okay. So it just does it. Okay. F2. Control information on, off and on. Now, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what control information does or what that does because I haven't explored that part. I'm not exactly sure what explore information is or control information is. Oh. Yeah, see, they're the same keys, just on. Okay. F3. Scroll voice. I think scroll voice. I'm not exactly sure what that one does. Let's turn it off. I'm doing F3 and the panning buttons now. Hide passwords off. So you can turn that off. There's a lot of keyboard shortcuts with this. You can turn it off, hide passwords off or on. Now, F4, Braille cursor blinking. Now, I believe that goes, so what that does is, if your Braille cursor is blinking, if you have that setting on, that basically will, when you move your cursor, it will go up and down on the display. It's really weird how that works, but it's like essentially iOS. And yeah, Braille cursor always, yeah. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to go to a word processor, and all the way to the left, I'm in this document, all the way to the left is where my cursor is, and it's always showing. It's always showing. Now, if I try that button again, Yep, just how I realized. So now that it's blinking, it's showing, but then it's disappearing. So it shows, and then it disappears. And a Braille cursor off, which you don't want that off. It will be very hard to edit in a document if you have your Braille cursor off, because then you won't know where your cursor is at all. So I would recommend either always or blinking on this one. Because, yeah. So other keyboard shortcuts include space with G, just turns it into computer Braille, which I don't like. And it says uncontracted Braille, and it says contracted Braille. And then you can also do things like enter with G to read everything in a document and stuff like that. So most of the shortcuts are different than a Braille note, because a lot of them on the Braille note, like enter with P is battery, but space with CH is battery on this. And enter with T is time, but space with T is time. And I believe date. Oh, come on. No. No. Date. I don't even know if there's a... There's a date, but as I was saying, the date is enter with D on the Braille note. T is time, P is percent, and the shortcuts here, like the shortcuts on the Braille note, are a lot like a lot more simple and straightforward. Whereas here, with the BrailleSense, it's a lot more complex. There's a lot more keys to remember. There's a lot more keys to remember, and kind of hard to get used to at first. So the final thing I think I'm going to do in this recording is to go in to show you some settings you can change. Just briefly go into the settings. So what I just did there was I went into the settings menu by just pressing S in the main menu. So set time and date is your first option. A lot of this is explanatory. Set up internet. Bluetooth manager. Menu manager. Backup restore BrailleSense settings. View device name. Quick start guide. Password protection. Initialize BrailleSense options. Voice options. Language profiles. BrailleSense global options. Android backup reset. And then you have Android system settings, because as I said earlier, this is running Android 10 as well. So I'm going to go into the BrailleSense global options so you can get a feel for what you can change. So you have Braille display on. So that's the that's what I was talking about earlier with the Braille on and off shortcut. Braille cursor always. 8 dot mode. View input grade G. Use computer Braille input. UEB. Message display time. Voice on. Punctuation level. Keyboard echo. Pitch, yep. Numbers. Use secondary voice. Voice volume. Voice rate. Voice pitch. Main volume. Scroll voice. Again, I'm not exactly sure what scroll voice is. I've never seen that. Show virtual braille display on HDMI. B on list item. System alerts. W beep list item. System alerts beep. Battery alert. A message list item. Battery alert. Play power on off sound. S off list item. Power off and on sound. Yeah, I wouldn't turn that on just because it would be very distracting. Left scroll buttons. L scroll display list item. Right scroll buttons. R scroll display list item. Yeah, so there's two different sets of scroll buttons. There's the left ones and the right ones. Skip empty lines. E off list item. Control. I'm not gonna go through all this. I just wanted to show you some of the basic settings. So yeah, that's basically the BrailleSense 6 Mini. There's a lot you can do with this. You can watch YouTube. You can browse, obviously. You can do a lot of things that you can on Android. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.